Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the graduation of the F. Edward Hebert School of Medicine's class of 1985. Will you please rise for the presentation of the colors by the Joint Armed Services Color Guard and remain standing for the singing of the national anthem led by Second Lieutenant Timothy Dramer, United States Air Force, and the invocation delivered by Ensign Michael Elliott Moeller, United States Navy. Advance the colors.
Lord, we thank you for this day of graduation and that which has made it possible, your gift to us of intellect and will. This day starts a new beginning for us as physicians, and therefore we ask you, Lord, to strengthen us on our journey to heal the sick, to cure the wounded, to comfort and ease the suffering of the terminally ill. As researchers, bless us with integrity in the pursuit of scientific knowledge and with a commitment to excellence in education. As physicians, favor us with humility and compassion. As officers in the United States military, wherever we may be or whatever we may be doing, we pray that you watch over us and guide us in taking the best possible care of our fellow servicemen and women who defend our liberty, freedom, and peace, thereby favoring us with the best country on the face of the earth, America the Beautiful.
Retire the colors. Please be seated. Ladies and gentlemen, it is a pleasure for me to introduce the student officer who has been president of the class of 1985 for the past 4 years. As his last official act in his present grade, Second Lieutenant Joseph Albert Scaniff, United States Army, will present the class farewell. Lieutenant Scaniff.
Good afternoon and welcome to our graduation. Members of the dais, distinguished guests, families, and friends, we are delighted to have all of you here today, and thank you for your support in coming, many of you from great distances. Now, in our farewell address, we have only a few lingering thoughts to share with you this afternoon. We've watched 3 classes graduate before us, and certainly have felt the impact of their time here. Today, we are pleased and proud of our own legacy, which we leave behind. Like most good leaders, we began as followers in most extracurricular activities 4 years ago. Then, honing old talents and developing new skills, we assumed in turn our own leadership roles. Our success in those roles surpassed all previous classes in such organizations as the American Medical Women's Association, the Caduceus Yearbook, the Vector, our student newspaper, the Airborne Committee, and sporting teams such as the football and rugby teams, the rugby team winning the national championship in 1983 and never finishing less than 3rd. We have played a dominant role in establishing a student chapter of the Association of Military Surgeons of the United States, the Organization of Student Representatives to the American Medical Association, the Student Advisory Council at this university, and the Phi Delta Epsilon fraternity, all of which continue to flourish. We have also in our ranks a deputy editor of the nationally distributed Medical Student Section newsletter of the American Medical Association. We are most pleased, however, with the efforts underlying the degrees to be conferred today. 153 doctors of medicine in the uniformed services, the Army, the Navy, the Air Force, and the Public Health Service. In addition, there are 21 graduate degrees in the biomedical sciences, anatomy, microbiology, psychology, pharmacology, physiology, biochemistry, and public health. We've enjoyed a special relationship with these fellow graduate students. As assistant instructors, they've played an important role in our basic sciences education while becoming our friends. We are pleased and proud to share this stage with them this afternoon. During the pursuit of our education over the past 4 years, we have recognized many individuals among us for their contributions, and still more will be recognized this afternoon. But it is on the shoulders of the unsung heroes that our future in medicine is assured. Many of those who are always ready to lend a helping hand to fellow students at their own expense will receive no tangible award for their efforts, but their sense of teamwork and perseverance in the face of adversity portends only good for their patients and fellow team members. We recognize them and are thankful for your presence among us. There are also 3 special stories of courage which may not be known to many here today. 2 of them are Craig and Margaret Bash. Our classmate Craig suffered a devastating spinal cord injury while living life to its fullest some months ago, and many thought his injuries insurmountable, but not Craig and Margaret. Although his struggle and recovery has been difficult physically and emotionally, Craig continues to improve, still living life to its fullest, and will resume his medical studies in the near future. Margaret Bash, also our classmate, has been a monumental source of strength and support during Craig's recovery. In addition, she continued her own medical education, far from her friends and familiar surroundings here at the university. She will join us soon as a physician. Margaret is now fighting her own battle against serious illness at the Naval Hospital in Bethesda. Although neither Craig nor Margaret can be here today physically, they shall always be with us in spirit. Phil Zarowski is another example of courage. During his third year of medical studies, Phil was diagnosed as having a rare non-Hodgkin's lymphoma. Phil endured exhausting chemotherapy in his struggle against cancer and still continued his medical studies despite the many side effects associated with his treatment. Phil has won his battle, and we're proud to have him graduate with us here this afternoon. Finally, while focusing our primary thoughts to the future, we recognize the considerable support and assistance we've had in reaching this milestone. We express our sincere appreciation to Dr. Sanford, our Dean and President, who has played a central role in our professional development and an equally important role in many of our personal lives. Our thanks, too, to a superb faculty who have carefully instructed and guided us through the pitfalls of a basic and clinical science education, a task sometimes requiring extraordinary patience and perseverance. The myriad and ever-growing staff here at the university has been largely unheralded, but their efforts have permitted us to pursue our studies unfettered by a bureaucracy that we will become all too familiar with in the coming months. We offer our thanks and reluctantly leave your support behind. Most importantly, however, for most of us, it has been our families and friends who have always been there when we've needed them. Their sacrifices on our behalf have often been legion, but without you, this road would have been much more difficult, if not impossible. We thank you and look forward to your continued love and support in the future. Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, I now present Dr. J.P. Sanford, President of the Uniformed Services University of the Health Sciences and Dean of the F. Edward Hebert School of Medicine, who will preside during the presentation of the awards. Dr. Sanford.
Before proceeding with the awards portion of the ceremony, it is my honor to present a message from our Commander-in-Chief, and I quote, "I am pleased to send greetings and congratulations to the members of the class of 1985. Your graduation is a time of celebration with friends and family, a time for memories, a time for anticipation. The American people have long recognized that education stands foremost among the guardians of freedom, nurturing it and in turn being nourished by it. One of the root meanings of the word education is to lead. If America is to retain its greatness, if our freedom is not to fail, then those who have enjoyed the benefits of education must accept with courage and conviction the mantle of leadership their knowledge has conferred upon them. The degree you now receive signifies many years of study and hard work, but its true meaning lies not in what you have done, but in what you will do to honor your heritage, to live wisely and well, to lead, and to protect the freedom which has been our birthright. Congratulations and God bless you." Signed, Ronald Reagan. It's now my pleasure to introduce the Honorable David I. Olch, Chairman of the Board of Regents, who will present the Board of Regents Award and the Association of Military Surgeons of the United States Award. Just step to this side, Dr. Olch. The Board of Regents Award is the highest honor a graduating senior can receive. Junior Assistant Hines, please come forward. The recipient has a truly outstanding academic performance and has shown the concern and care for patients, the investment in the social and intellectual aspects of medicine, and the devotion, empathy, dedication, and personal commitment required of a physician. She has proven her capability for hard work both as an individual and as a team member, and she has performed at the highest levels of duty and honor expected of a commissioned officer. The Board of Regents, with pride in her accomplishments and with confidence for an outstanding future career, is pleased to make its award for 1985 to Junior Assistant Noreen A. Hines, United States Public Health Service. The Association of Military Surgeons of the United States has established an award to be given annually to the graduate of the Uniformed Services University School of Medicine. The award consists of a lifetime membership in the association, a plaque, and a token $250. Second Lieutenant Scaniff, please come forward. The Association of Military Surgeons of the United States Award is presented to the graduating senior who has best demonstrated the highest qualities of leadership and academic involvement. Second Lieutenant Scaniff has demonstrated concern and commitment to the health of people and care of the sick and injured. He possesses the social and interpersonal skills required to gain the respect, trust, and confidence of patients, superiors, peers, and subordinates. With pride in his accomplishments and confidence for an outstanding future career, on behalf of the Association of Military Surgeons of the United States, the Board of Regents is pleased to present this award for 1985 to Second Lieutenant Joseph Albert Scaniff, United States Army. It is my pleasure to present or ask the Army Surgeon General to come forward to present the United States Army Surgeon General's Award to Second Lieutenant David Wayne Polley, Jr.
It is my privilege and a real pleasure to present this award to a truly outstanding young officer, and also on behalf of the Army Medical Department to welcome its newest members. Thank you very much. Congratulations.
Vice Admiral Lewis H. Seaton, Medical Corps, Surgeon General of the United States Navy, will present the next award.
It's my pleasure to present the United States Navy Surgeon General's Award to Ensign Anne Murray Seaford.
Lieutenant General Max B. Brallier, Medical Corps, Surgeon General of the United States Air Force, will present the next award.
It is my pleasure to present the Air Force Surgeon General's Award to Lieutenant Jeffrey Allen Niscoda. And we had a banner up above here. I don't know whether you saw that or not, that gave you special recognition. We're proud of you. I am proud of you, Lieutenant Niscoda, and every member of this class for your exceptional people. We welcome you as the newest members of the Air Force Medical Service.
Vice Admiral C. Everett Koop, Surgeon General of the United States Public Health Service, will present the next award. Admiral Koop.
Well, it is my pleasure to present the Public Health Service Surgeon General's Award to Junior Assistant Philip Edward Coyne, Jr. Once when I was visiting friends in Texas, I was so impressed that husband and wife had personal helicopters, one red and one blue, that I purchased toys in a toy store, spray painted them with the appropriate colors, labeled them his and hers, and left them on their mantelpiece when I departed. Now, last year's recipient of this reward was Senior Assistant Surgeon Sandra Queter, who happens to be Phil's wife. All they need now is a mantelpiece.
Dr. Olch will now present the William P. Clements Jr. Award and the Outstanding Civilian Educator Award. Commander Robert DeFore, please come forward. The William P. Clements Jr. Award is given annually at each of the service academies to that uniformed faculty member chosen by the students as their best teacher. The award, donated privately, bears the name of a public servant, former governor of the state of Texas, who during his tenure as Deputy Secretary of Defense had a keen interest in the education of those who serve the nation. Commander Robert DeFore, Medical Corps, United States Navy, was chosen as this year's recipient of the Clements Award as the Uniformed Services faculty member whose personal example and performance best characterized the principles of excellence in education. Commander DeFore has consistently sought to inspire students to high levels of academic accomplishment in his role as assistant professor and course director in the Department of Pathology. The Uniformed Services University of the Health Sciences takes pleasure in endorsing the decision of its students by bestowing upon Commander DeFore the William P. Clements Jr. Award. The Outstanding Civilian Educator Award is given annually to that civilian faculty member chosen by students as the individual who has most effectively conveyed academic excellence, intellectual stimulation, and dedication to students. John F. Marr, Professor of Medicine, was chosen as this year's recipient. Dr. Marr, please come forward. Dr. Marr has demonstrated the ability to inspire medical students toward the pursuit of professional and medical excellence. He has given untiringly of himself to encourage the students to grasp the essence and meaning of becoming a physician. Dr. Marr, the students give you this award with great pleasure and respect. We are sure that future recipients will be honored to share the Civilian Faculty Award for Excellence in Education with you. Members and families, class of 1985, distinguished flag and general officers, guests, ladies and gentlemen. It is my privilege to introduce your 1985 commencement speaker, Dr. William A. Nolan. Dr. Nolan is a practicing surgeon from Litchfield, Minnesota. He is a native of New England, a graduate of Tufts Medical School, received his surgical training at Bellevue Hospital in New York. He served on active duty in the Army, being stationed at Igloo, South Dakota. Last evening I had to ask him, I wasn't aware that the Army had a facility in Igloo, South Dakota. I thought only the Air Force had facilities in such locations. He informs me that in fact the Army, there was a depot there, and from 1955 to 1957 he was stationed there. In 1960, upon completion of his training, he entered practice in Litchfield, Minnesota. He is as skilled with the pen as he is with the scalpel, being best known for his book, The Making of a Surgeon. We are honored and privileged that he would take time to come from Minnesota and join us on this occasion. Dr. Nolan.
Thank you very much. It's certainly a privilege to have been invited to share with you such a wonderful day. It seems really as though it was only yesterday that I graduated from medical school, but in fact it's been 32 years. It seems like yesterday because I've had a very full and rewarding career as a physician, as most physicians do. I ought to make clear exactly where I do come from so that you'll understand the legitimacy or non-legitimacy of what I have to say. I am not in any sense an academician. I've been out of the academic world since I left Bellevue, if you can consider Bellevue part of the academic world. Had a remote connection with Cornell at that time. But in any case, I've been away from that. I go down to the University of Minnesota occasionally, but I practice in a town of 5,200, 70 miles west of Minneapolis. I am the chief of surgery at the Meeker County Hospital and have been for the last 25 years. There are people that say I'm the chief of surgery because I'm the only surgeon in the county. If you're in Litchfield and you need an operation, you have to choose between Charlie Kubish and me, and Charlie is a veterinarian. Which gives me some control over my practice. He works a lot cheaper than I do, but he's not as sterile. In any case, I'm not going to speak to you today about academic things. You've been involved in that for the last 4 years, nor am I going to speak to you about military things because, as Dr. Sanford pointed out, my experience with the Army was limited to 2 years in Igloo, which was a very strange assignment, by the way. There were 12 officers and 3 enlisted men on the post, and we had a 15-bed hospital. We took care of 2,000 civilians. It was designated at that time as an isolated post in the zone of the interior, which was an understatement. It was hardly possible to get there in the winter. It was a great 2 years. I enjoyed it immensely. The only trouble I ever got into was when the commanding officer of the base came over to the hospital. I was the chief of surgery, by the way, because I had 1 year of surgical training, which was more than my coworker had. In any case, the only reprimand I ever got was for wearing Argyle socks to work. That wasn't considered part of the uniform. So I'm going to speak to you today not about academic things, not about military things, but about the things I've learned practicing surgery in a small town, things that you don't always learn in medical school, and that actually sometimes a residency drums out of you if you have these qualifications going into the residency. It has to do with the humanistic part of medicine. There are qualities that make for a good doctor, a good physician, that are very nebulous and difficult to deal with. One of them is humility. Doctors, in general, are an arrogant group. It's part of the business. I mean, you're taking responsibility for people's lives, and they look up to you, and there is a tendency on the part of a physician to take this as a claim that he or she merits. and if they have any humility to begin with, they lose it when they get into practice. Well, let me tell you, you shouldn't. First of all, I know that you're all bright people. You've just finished 4 years at an excellent medical school. You know most of what's in the books, but I am going to assure you that when you get into practice, you're going to find out right away that there are lots of things you don't know. I mean, I can remember very well the first patient I took care of when I'd finished 5 years of surgical training at Bellevue and moved to Litchfield. And the first surgical patient I saw was a patient with a plantar's wart. And I had no idea how to treat it. I had to get one of the GPs to show me how to take care of a plantar's wart. I still don't like plantar's warts. I mean, they are difficult to treat. I always try to talk the patient into going up to the drugstore and buying some potion to rub on it. But if I can't do that, I use one of the many painful and inefficacious methods that we have. In any case, that was my first experience with a patient, a plantar's wart, and after 5 years, I didn't know what to do with it. One of my early patients, I remember, came in, had an ailment that required an antibiotic, and I wasn't sure the dose of the antibiotic. She was sitting at the desk waiting for me to write a prescription, and instead I said, well, excuse me for just a minute, and I went to one of my partner's offices and got down the PDR, the compendium that tells you all about the various medicines that are available, and looked up what I should give her. And then I came back and wrote the prescription. Now, if I run into a situation like that, I take the book down in front of the patient because I have enough confidence in myself to know that she's not going to be shocked that I don't know everything there is to know about medicines. And you don't. I mean, you're going to find that a lot of the things that you deal with are things where you're going to have to go back to the books. And then, on top of that, you're going to find a certain number of patients, and I'd have to say it's a very large category, who are going to have problems that despite your training you're not going to be able to solve. I mean, typical is a patient who will come into your office and say, you know, Dr. Nolan, I get this pain in my ankle, and then it goes up into my knee, and then it goes over into my hip on the other side. Now, what do you think's causing that? I mean, what is it? Well, you aren't going to have the foggiest notion of what it is. I talked to one of my general practice partners about this syndrome, which is very common. I mean, it can have other manifestations, but that's one of them. And he said, well, I'll tell you what you do. Don't say anything. Just wait a few minutes, and then she'll say to you something like, you don't think it's because we're buying a new kind of butter, do you? And you say, yes. That's probably it. See? I mean, if you wait long enough, they'll give you something you can try. And the chances are that pain's going to go away if she switches butter or if she doesn't switch butter. But at least you're going to be able to tell her this is something you can do, and it'll probably clear up your ailment. And as most ailments do, it will go away. So try to retain a sense of humility. A second thing you want to remember is to be considerate of the patient. Doctors are not the most popular people in our society. I mean, people appreciate their individual doctors for what they do for them, but they resent the fact that they have to pay money to them for helping them, that whatever they do is painful to them, it ties them up. There is a certain built-in resentment factor in what we do, and we are not, as a profession, terribly popular. One of the things we have to do to retain what little popularity we have to keep good rapport with the patient is to be considerate of the patient. I mean, don't be one of these doctors who is always late getting to the office or getting to the clinic. most doctors don't like to go to the clinic, even when you're a resident. You'd rather be up on the ward. If you're a surgical resident, you'd rather be in the operating room. But somebody's got to go to the clinic, and somebody's got to take care of these people that have terribly boring ailments for which they're coming to the clinic. I mean, you're going to get so you hate backaches. They are boring. But that's what brings people to the doctor. And that's, of course, why chiropractors thrive, because they're fascinated by backaches, and we aren't. And we let it show. I mean, when the patient comes to the chiropractor with a backache, you know, he glows, and he tells them 20 treatments from now you're going to be better, sign here. And they do, and they like the laying on of hands, they like all of that, and they get better as they would without the laying on of hands. But when they come in and they say to me, oh, I've got this terrible backache, I mean, something clicks off in my mind. I think, why couldn't you have something more challenging, more interesting? I mean, it's probably a muscle strain. They don't want to hear that. So give them some consideration. Get to the clinic early or on time, even if it means that you're going to have to see a few patients that are probably boring to you. Let me tell you that if you get a backache, it's not going to be boring. Your backache will be fascinating. It's only their backaches that are boring. We used to have when I was a medical student, I can remember we had a professor of pediatric surgery who always used to say, when he was looking for an intern, he said, I don't look for the intern that got straight A's. I look for the one who will get up at night. And that's another lesson you want to learn, that those are the things that make the difference. I'll give you an example. My wife and I went to a jazz concert in Minneapolis not too long ago. Oscar Peterson was playing. We drove down. We got back about 10:30 at night. And shortly after we got in, I was getting ready for bed. The phone rang, and it was a friend of ours named Ethel Mae Smith, I'll call her. But in any case, she called and she said, oh, Bill, Charlie's got this terrible pain in his belly, and he wonders if you could come over and see him. And, you know, I didn't want to go out. It was winter. It was cold. I was in my pajamas. And I said, well, why didn't he go to see somebody else? Well, he wanted to wait for you. And I said, well, tell me about the pain. Where is it? And she said, Charlie, where's the pain? I mean, one of the things you learn is that men rarely call you. They always put their wife on the phone. And so you wind up running a three-way conversation. So I said, Ethel Mae, ask Charlie, where is the pain? Well, Charlie, where's the pain? Well, the pain's down my lower, down in my belly. How long has he had it? How long you had it, Charlie? Well, it's been there since 8 o'clock this morning, and it's, is it getting worse? Is it getting worse? Anyway, you go on with this strange conversation. And finally, I felt like saying, you waited all day, take a couple of aspirin, I'll see you in the morning. But no, instead, I thought, if he really wants me to come over and see him, he is a friend of mine. I know he's not the kind that's prone to misery. I better go over and see him. So anyway, I went over to see him, and to make the story short, I put a hand on his abdomen, and I could immediately feel a big pulsating mass. I mean, he had an aortic aneurysm, and when I started questioning him a little more closely, it became apparent that this thing had just probably started to dissect or to rupture, and I wound up calling the ambulance, shipping him to Minneapolis. I've gotten away from doing things like aortic aneurysms in Litchfield just because I couldn't keep my hand in at it. In any case, I sent him down, and by 4 hours later, he was on the table. He had an aortic aneurysm removed. Now, I tell you that just because it's an example, even if I am patting myself on the back a little bit, of the way you ought to practice medicine. Don't discourage the patients. Don't tell them wait till tomorrow. get up and go. All the information I had about aortic aneurysms would have been useless if I had just gone back to bed. Instead, I put myself out a little bit for the patient. I have to admit, I don't like to do it. I hate to make house calls as everybody else does. But if you do it, you're going to be a better doctor and you're going to do more for your patients. Another point that I should make under consideration for patients is speak English if you can. I mean, it's not absolutely necessary to tell the patient that she has myalgia. I mean, you can say you've got a sore muscle or gastroenteritis. You can say you've got the stomach flu. They understand that. And if you try a little bit, you can tell people blame doctors because they are poor communicators, and they are. We tend to fall into a jargon, and if you will avoid that, you'll be much more comfortable with the patient. The patient will be much more comfortable with you. Have compassion for the patient. We had a doctor in town when I first came there. He had the biggest practice in town. I don't think this fellow ever opened a book after he got out of medical school, never went to a meeting, but he had the biggest practice in town. And why? Because he had compassion for his patients. I mean, they'd come into the office and he took all the time he needed. If they came in with a bellyache, when he had finished diagnosing it, he would always say to them, "Is there anything more I can do for you?" Now, I've never had the courage to do that because if I do it, they always find something else I can do for them, and I'm always in a hurry, which is why I guess I'm a surgeon and not a family practitioner. But he would say, "What can I do for you?" And they loved it, and they always had something more, and he never rushed them. Now, he was not a bright doctor. When he put a patient in the hospital, one of my partners used to say the reason Joe's patients have to stay in the hospital so long is they've got to get over whatever they've got while he's treating them for something else. And there was a lot of truth in it. We kept an eye on his patients so that because every now and then a very sick one would get in, and we'd want to make sure that he wasn't overlooking anything, and so we'd bump into the patient accidentally but on purpose. In any case, if you have compassion for the patients, it's not only going to help your practice, but it's going to help the patient get better, because patients do need sympathy and a sympathetic ear as much as they need strong antibiotics and operations. They certainly need them more often. I guess what I'm trying to tell you is this. If there's one rule I think every doctor ought to follow, it's simply this: be nice. Now, I know you're all nice people now. Well, you are, I'm sure, but I've talked to members of the faculty, and I've met other graduating classes, and it's true. When you're going through medical school, when you come out, you're eager and you're nice people. Be very careful that the system doesn't corrupt you, that you don't get into a residency and immediately switch to the approach that in the third bed on the left in that ward is the patient with the gallbladder. I mean, remember that it's a patient with a gallbladder problem, but also remember that this is Mrs. Smith, who has 3 kids, one of whom is smoking a lot of pot, and she's married to Joe Smith, who is stopping off at the Vets Club on her way home from work every night and coming home full of beer, that she has all kinds of problems that go along with her gallbladder. Keep your eye on the patient as a complete person and treat them just the way you would want to be treated, or you want to be treated by a doctor. Don't look upon patients, as we so often do, as enemies who are there to take up our time. Look upon them as people who are suffering, who are concerned, and who have come to you for help. you're entering a great profession. I mean, there's nothing more rewarding than being a doctor. On top of that, you people have the extra bonus of serving your country while you're being a doctor. I mean, you've got it coming both ways, and it's wonderful. I congratulate all of you, and I hope that you have the wonderful life that I know you all can have. Thank you.
Others in the audience when saying thank you very, very much for a most meaningful presentation. This is just a brief token of the occasion that I would like to present to you.
Thank you.
Mr. Chairman, Dr. Olch. On behalf of the faculty of the F. Edward Hebert School of Medicine, I recommend to you that the degree of Doctor of Medicine be conferred on 153 members of the 1985 graduating class. Will the candidates please rise?
By virtue of the authority vested in the Board of Regents by the Congress of the United States, and upon the recommendation of the faculty and dean, I hereby confer the degree Doctor of Medicine with its attendant privileges and responsibilities.
Stand over there and I'll join you.
Rex Martin Alvord, Jr., United States Army. Paul Joseph Amoroso, United States Army. Jill Ann Antoine, United States Army. Mark Raymond Bagg, United States Army. David Eugene Bertler, United States Army. John T. Bestoso, United States Navy. John Franklin Black, United States Army. Charles D. Bolin, Jr., United States Army. Michael Scott Bongiovanni, United States Navy. Amelia Garcia Bonovich, United States Army. Elaine Leslie Brent, United States Army. Raymond Lee Brewer, United States Air Force. Hans Anthony Brings, United States Navy. William T. Brown, United States Army. Deborah Marie Bueno, United States Navy. William Ely Burkhalter, Jr., United States Army. Thomas George Byrne, United States Navy. John W. Byron, United States Army. Anthony J. Camarota, United States Navy. John Gregory Carrower, United States Army. Victor John Catullo, United States Navy. Laura Meade Clapper, United States Navy. Matthew Allen Coatsworth, United States Air Force. Donald Lee Cochran, United States Army. Stephen Carl Cotton, United States Army. Philip Edward Coyne, Jr., United States Public Health Service. Dean S. Cunningham, United States Navy. Alex K. Curtis, United States Army. Robert G. Darling, United States Navy. Ellen Catherine Denegris, United States Navy. John Summers Buste Dick II, United States Army. Joseph Doyle, United States Navy.